The evening sun poured its last golden light through the thin curtains of a small, weathered house where Daniel sat at the kitchen table, bills scattered before him. His tired hands rubbed his temples, the weight of responsibility pressing hard on his shoulders. Life as a single father had never been easy. Every day was a balancing act between working long hours and making sure his little daughter, Emily, never felt the emptiness of what they lacked. He held down 2 jobs, one at the local hardware store and another delivering groceries late into the night. Still, every dollar seemed to vanish as quickly as it came. Yet, in front of Emily, Daniel never let the heaviness show. When she came bounding into the room with her wide smile and tangled hair, clutching a crayon drawing she had made just for him, he grinned back as though the world was nothing but light. He always told her, "We may not have much, but we have each other. That's enough." But deep inside, Daniel worried. The rent was climbing, groceries cost more each week, and Emily deserved better than worn shoes and second-hand books. After a long pause, he glanced toward the small spare bedroom at the end of the hall. It wasn't much, just a simple space with faded wallpaper, but maybe it could help. With a heavy sigh that turned into a hopeful breath, Daniel made up his mind. He would rent it out. Maybe, just maybe, that little room could change their lives. The following week, Daniel stood nervously at the front door, straightening his shirt as he waited for the new tenant to arrive. He had posted a modest ad, never expecting much response, but then a young woman had called, her voice soft, polite, and eager. When the knock finally came, Daniel opened the door to find a college-aged girl with kind eyes and a humble smile. She carried a single suitcase in one hand and a worn backpack slung over her shoulder. There was no air of arrogance, no sign of entitlement, just a quiet grace that instantly put him at ease. "Hi, I'm Lily," she said, her tone warm but shy. Daniel welcomed her inside, apologizing for the house's small size and simple furniture. Lily only shook her head, glancing around with genuine appreciation. "It's perfect," she whispered, as though grateful for something far beyond walls and a roof. Emily came running into the room, curious about the stranger. At first, she hid behind her father's leg, peeking out with wide eyes. But when Lily knelt down and complimented her drawing taped to the fridge, Emily giggled and offered her hand. That was all it took, the ice melted instantly. As Daniel carried Lily's suitcase into the spare room, he felt a small sense of relief. Maybe this arrangement would ease his burden, just enough to help him breathe. What he didn't realize, however, was that Lily's arrival would bring more than rent money. It would bring warmth, change, and a bond none of them had expected. Days turned into weeks, and Lily blended seamlessly into the rhythm of their little household. She was more than just a tenant, she became part of their everyday life. In the evenings, while Daniel was still at work, Lily would sit with Emily at the kitchen table, patiently helping her with math problems and spelling words. Emily adored her, often climbing into her lap to read stories or show off the latest picture she had colored. The house, once quiet and heavy with responsibility, now echoed with laughter and chatter. Daniel noticed the difference, too. Coming home late, exhausted from his second job, he would find the dishes already washed, Emily tucked into bed, and Lily sitting quietly on the couch with her books spread out. One night, as he lingered outside Emily's door, he overheard his daughter whispering, "I wish you were my sister." The words made his chest tighten, a mix of gratitude and guilt. He couldn't give Emily the family she deserved, yet somehow, life had brought them Lily. Though she carried herself with humility, Daniel often wondered about her. There was a depth in her eyes, a softness that suggested she had known both comfort and loneliness. But she never spoke much about her past. She seemed content to be there, in their modest home, sharing simple meals and warm company. For Daniel, it was enough. He didn't need to know more. What mattered was that his daughter was happy, and that their little home, against all odds, felt fuller than ever. One chilly evening, Daniel sat at the kitchen table, staring at a mechanic's bill he knew he couldn't pay. His old car had broken down again, and without it, getting to both jobs felt impossible. He tried to mask his worry, but Lily noticed the quiet heaviness in his eyes. She gently asked if everything was all right, and he brushed it off with a tired smile, saying, "We'll manage. We always do." Still, she could sense the weight he carried, the constant battle to keep life stitched together for Emily. A few days later, the sound of an unfamiliar engine rumbled outside the house. Daniel stepped onto the porch, wiping his hands on a rag, and froze. A sleek black car, the kind he had only ever seen in magazines, pulled into the driveway. From it stepped a man in a tailored suit, his presence commanding and confident. Emily peeked from behind her father, wide-eyed, while Lily rushed to the door, her face pale. "Dad," she whispered. Daniel's heart sank as the truth unfolded. Lily wasn't just a humble college girl. She was the daughter of a wealthy businessman, someone who lived in a world far removed from their modest one. For a moment, Daniel felt foolish, as if the ground beneath him had shifted. He had never once suspected. But as Lily's father looked around the small home, Daniel saw no judgment in his daughter's eyes, only sincerity. She had chosen to be here, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. The next morning, Daniel prepared himself for the inevitable goodbye. Surely Lily would be leaving now that her father knew the truth. He folded laundry in silence while Emily sat by the window, her little face clouded with sadness. When the knock came at the door, Daniel braced himself. But instead of a farewell, Lily and her father stood there together, both wearing gentle smiles. Her father spoke first. "My daughter has told me how much you've done for her. You welcomed her into your home without asking for anything in return. That kind of kindness is rare." His voice carried the weight of someone used to commanding boardrooms, but here, it softened with respect. Daniel shook his head. "She didn't owe us anything. She became family. That's all that matters." Lily stepped forward, her eyes bright with emotion. "And that's why I can't just walk away. You gave me a home, not because of who I am, but because of who you are. Now let us give something back." From that day, everything changed. Emily's education was secured, Daniel's car was repaired, and the constant weight on his shoulders began to lift. But more than money or support, what truly filled the little house was the reminder that genuine kindness always circles back. That night, as Daniel tucked Emily into bed, she whispered, "Daddy, we're lucky, aren't we?" He kissed her forehead and smiled, his voice steady with hope. "Yes, sweetheart. Kindness has a way of finding its way home."